Ladies and gentlemen, every single one of us has a dream and idea of the person we want to become, the life we want to live, or the impact we want to make. But too often, those dreams remain just that, dreams. Not because we're incapable, not because we lack resources, but because we're trapped. Trapped in a space that feels safe, familiar, and comfortable, the comfort zone. The comfort zone is a subtle yet powerful force in our lives. It's the psychological space where we feel safe, secure, and in control. It's familiar, predictable, and reassuring. Within it, we operate on autopilot, following routines and habits that don't require us to stretch or risk failure. It feels like home. But while the comfort zone offers safety, it also creates limitations. It's not where growth happens, it's where we stay the same, even as the world around us continues to evolve. To truly understand the power of the comfort zone, we need to recognize its dual nature. On the one hand, it's essential for our mental well-being. It's a place where we can recharge and recover. But on the other hand, it's a boundary we must regularly push against if we want to grow, achieve, and experience the fullness of life. The comfort zone can be a sanctuary or a prison, depending on how we use it. One of the reasons the comfort zone holds us so tightly is fear. Fear of failure, of rejection, and fear of the unknown all work together to keep us rooted in what feels safe. When we consider stepping outside this space, we're often met with a flood of doubts and what-ifs. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I lose what I have? These questions are natural. They're a product of our brain's primary function, which is to keep us alive and avoid threats. The problem is the brain often treats discomfort as danger even when it's not. The truth is, the comfort zone doesn't eliminate risk, it just creates the illusion of safety. Staying within its boundaries can lead to stagnation, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled potential. Imagine someone who dreams of starting a business but remains stuck in a job they dislike because it feels secure. Over time, their passion fades and they're left wondering, what if? This is the silent cost of staying comfortable, the regret of not trying, not growing, and not pursuing what truly matters. But stepping outside the comfort zone is not just about avoiding regret, it's about embracing the life you're capable of living. Growth begins at the edge of discomfort. Every major accomplishment you've achieved, learning to walk, ride a bike, or master a skill, required you to step into the unknown. It required you to face challenges, make mistakes, and persist. The same principle applies to everything you want to achieve now. Leaving your comfort zone doesn't mean you have to make drastic changes overnight. Growth is a gradual process. It starts with small, intentional steps. Each step expands your boundaries and builds confidence. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting when you'd normally stay silent. Maybe it's trying a new activity or reaching out to someone you admire. These actions might feel uncomfortable at first, but that's where transformation begins. The discomfort you feel when you step outside your comfort zone is not a sign of failure, it's a sign of progress. It means you're challenging your limits and pushing beyond what you thought was possible. Discomfort is temporary, but the growth it leads to can last a lifetime. Think of it like working out at the gym. When you lift weights, you're essentially tearing muscle fibers. It's uncomfortable, but it's the only way to grow stronger. The same is true for your mind, your skills, and your life. What's fascinating about the comfort zone is that it shifts as you grow. What once felt impossible becomes second nature. The conversations that once terrified you become effortless. The challenges that seemed insurmountable become stepping stones. This is the beauty of growth. It's a continual process of expanding your limits and redefining what's possible. But let's be clear, stepping outside your comfort zone doesn't mean eliminating fear or doubt. Those feelings will always be there to some degree. The key is not to let them control you. When you understand that fear is just a natural response to uncertainty, you can reframe it as a signal that you're on the right path. The presence of fear means you're doing something meaningful. Ultimately, the comfort zone is a choice. You can choose to stay within its boundaries, clinging to what's familiar, or you can choose to step beyond it and embrace the unknown. It's in the unknown that you discover who you truly are and what you're capable of achieving. The comfort zone might feel safe, but it's outside of it that life happens, where dreams are realized, potential is unleashed, and true fulfillment is found. So ask yourself, what's one small step you can take today to challenge your comfort zone? It could be as simple as trying something new, speaking up when you normally stay quiet, or pursuing an idea that excites you but feels uncertain. Each step you take strengthens your ability to grow and brings you closer to the life you were meant to live. The comfort zone is powerful, but your desire for growth is even stronger. The question is, are you ready to take that step? Negative feelings often feel like barriers, obstacles that block us from moving forward. They come in many forms: fear, doubt, anxiety, frustration, and they can be overwhelming. Most of us are conditioned to avoid these emotions, treating them as signs of failure or reasons to stop. But what if we could see them differently? What if, instead of being enemies, these feelings were actually indicators of progress? Reframing negative feelings as growth signals is a transformative shift in perspective. It starts with understanding that these emotions are not inherently bad. They're natural responses to stepping outside your comfort zone and into the realm of the unfamiliar. When you feel fear, for example, it's often a sign that you're confronting something important, something that matters deeply to you. Fear doesn't show up when you're doing something trivial or insignificant. It arises when you're challenging yourself or pursuing meaningful goals. Consider how your body responds to physical exercise. When you push your muscles to their limits, you feel discomfort, sometimes even pain. But that discomfort isn't a sign of harm. It's a sign that your body is adapting and growing stronger. Similarly, the discomfort of negative emotions is a signal that you're stretching your mental and emotional boundaries. It's a sign that you're on the path to growth. One of the most common negative feelings people face when stepping outside their comfort zone is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But fear, when you break it down, is simply a reaction to uncertainty. It's your brain's way of saying, I don't know what's going to happen next. And that feels risky. The key to reframing fear is to recognize it as a guide. Instead of letting it paralyze you, let it point you toward areas where you have the most to gain. Doubt is another powerful emotion that often accompanies growth. It whispers, are you sure you can do this? Or what if you're not good enough? While doubt can feel discouraging, it's actually a sign that you're stepping into new territory. You're doing something you've never done before, and it's natural to question yourself. The presence of doubt doesn't mean you're unworthy or incapable. It means you're in the process of learning and evolving. Frustration is yet another common negative feeling that signals growth. When you're trying something new or challenging and it doesn't go as planned, frustration often kicks in. But frustration is a clear sign that you care. You wouldn't feel frustrated if the outcome didn't matter to you. Instead of seeing frustration as a reason to give up, see it as proof that you're invested in the process. It's a call to keep going, to try again, and to find a way forward. The key to reframing negative feelings lies in how you interpret them. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, view them as stepping stones. Each uncomfortable emotion you experience is an opportunity to grow stronger, more resilient, and more capable. It's a sign that you're on the edge of transformation, pushing past the limits of your current self. This doesn't mean that negative feelings will magically disappear once you reframe them. They'll still be there, but they'll lose their power to control you. When you understand that these emotions are part of the process, you can learn to coexist with them. You can acknowledge their presence without letting them dictate your actions. One effective way to reframe negative feelings is to ask yourself a simple question: what is this emotion trying to teach me? Fear might be teaching you to prepare more thoroughly or to take a calculated risk. Doubt might be encouraging you to develop new skills or seek support. Frustration might be pushing you to find creative solutions or to persevere through challenges. When you see these emotions as teachers rather than obstacles, they become valuable allies on your journey. It's also helpful to remember that negative feelings are temporary. They may feel intense in the moment, but they pass. And often they leave behind a sense of accomplishment and pride when you push through them. Think back to a time when you faced a challenge and overcame it. At the time, you might have felt fear, doubt, or frustration, but in hindsight, those emotions were part of what made the achievement so meaningful. Reframing negative feelings as growth signals requires practice. It's not something that happens overnight, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Each time you face a negative emotion, take a moment to pause and reflect. Instead of resisting it, lean into it. Ask yourself what it's telling you about the situation and about yourself. Ultimately, the presence of negative feelings is a sign that you're alive, engaged, and striving for something greater. They're proof that you're not settling for the status quo, but actively working to become the best version of yourself. Embrace them, learn from them, and let them guide you toward the person you're meant to be. Taking bold, incremental action is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's the process of transforming your ideas, goals, and dreams into reality, not through massive leaps, but through steady, deliberate steps forward. While boldness is essential for breaking free from limitations, the idea of making dramatic, sweeping changes all at once can feel overwhelming and paralyzing. That's where incremental action comes in. It allows you to take consistent strides toward growth while building confidence and resilience along the way. When people think of bold action, they often imagine taking huge risks, quitting a job overnight, starting a new business without preparation, or diving into a completely unfamiliar situation. While these actions can be powerful, they're not always practical or sustainable. Boldness doesn't have to mean recklessness. In fact, the most impactful changes often come from a series of small, intentional decisions that gradually push you beyond your comfort zone. The key is to recognize that even the smallest action can be bold when it's aimed at growth and requires you to face discomfort. For example, speaking up at a meeting when you'd usually stay quiet, reaching out to someone you admire for advice, or committing to a daily habit that supports your goals, all of these are acts of boldness. They may seem minor in isolation, but over time, they compound into significant progress. Incremental action works because it reduces the psychological barriers that often hold us back. When you think about a major goal or dream, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the distance between where you are and where you want to be. This overwhelm can lead to procrastination or paralysis as the journey feels too daunting to even begin. But when you break that goal into smaller, manageable steps, it suddenly becomes achievable. Each step builds momentum, making the next one easier. Taking incremental action also allows you to test and adapt as you go. Growth is rarely a straight line, and the path to success often involves unexpected twists and turns. By starting with small actions, you can learn what works and what doesn't without putting everything on the line. This approach reduces the fear of failure because the stakes are lower with each individual step. And when you do encounter setbacks, they become opportunities to adjust your strategy rather than reasons to give up. Boldness in incremental action also lies in consistency. It's easy to take a single step forward and then retreat back into comfort. The real challenge is to keep moving day after day, even when progress feels slow or uncertain. Consistency requires discipline and commitment, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Each small action reinforces the belief that you're capable of change, creating a positive feedback loop that fuels further growth. One of the most powerful aspects of taking bold, incremental action is how it reshapes your self-image. Every time you take a step outside your comfort zone, no matter how small, you're proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort and uncertainty. Over time, these actions accumulate into a new sense of identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is proactive, resilient, and capable of achieving great things. This shift in self-perception is a key driver of long-term success. It's important to celebrate each step along the way. When you acknowledge and appreciate your progress, you reinforce the behavior and motivate yourself to keep going. Too often, people dismiss their small wins because they don't seem significant compared to the larger goal. But every step matters, and each one brings you closer to the life you want to create. Another advantage of incremental action is that it inspires others. When people see you taking consistent, intentional steps toward your goals, it encourages them to do the same. Your journey becomes a source of motivation for those around you, creating a ripple effect of growth and positivity. To begin taking bold, incremental action, start by identifying one area of your life where you want to grow or improve. Break it down into specific, actionable steps, Ask yourself, what's one small thing I can do today to move closer to my goal? Then do it. Focus on progress, not perfection. Remember, it's not about how fast you move, it's about the fact that you're moving at all. Every action you take, no matter how small, is a declaration to yourself and the world that you're committed to growth. It's a statement that you're willing to embrace discomfort, face challenges, and step into the person you're meant to become. Over time, these small, bold actions add up to extraordinary results. They build momentum, expand your comfort zone, and unlock opportunities you never thought possible. So take that first step, then take another and another. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come, not because of one dramatic leap, but because of the bold, incremental actions you chose to take every single day. Visualization and commitment are two of the most transformative tools you can use to unlock your full potential. Together, they act as a bridge between where you are and the version of yourself that you aspire to become. To visualize and commit to your bigger self means to see, with clarity and conviction, the person you are capable of being, and to align your thoughts, actions, and habits with that vision until it becomes your reality. The first step in this process is understanding the power of visualization. Your mind is incredibly creative, and it doesn't distinguish strongly between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience. When you visualize your bigger self, the person who has overcome fear, taken bold actions, and achieved meaningful goals, you prime your brain to recognize opportunities, solutions, and paths to make that vision real. Visualization isn't daydreaming, it's purposeful imagining. It's about creating a clear mental image of the life you want and the person you need to become to live that life. Begin by asking yourself, who is the bigger version of me? This version of you isn't defined by your past mistakes, current limitations, or external circumstances. Instead, it's defined by your highest values, deepest desires, and untapped potential. Picture yourself as someone who embodies courage, resilience, and success. Imagine the way you walk, the way you speak, and the way you approach challenges. How does this bigger version of you think? What habits do they have? What goals have they achieved? The more vividly you can visualize this version of yourself, the more real it becomes. Add details to the image. See yourself in situations where you're thriving, growing, and contributing. Feel the emotions that come with achieving your goals: pride, joy, and gratitude. The clearer and more emotionally engaging your visualization, the more powerful it becomes. This is because your brain starts to internalize that image as a blueprint for your actions and decisions. Visualization alone, however, is not enough. It must be paired with commitment, a deep, unwavering decision to embody your bigger self, no matter the obstacles or setbacks. Commitment is what transforms a vision into reality. It's the fuel that keeps you moving forward when the journey gets tough, and it's the anchor that keeps you grounded in your purpose. To commit to your bigger self, start by identifying why this version of you matters. What drives you to grow? What impact do you want to make? When your commitment is rooted in a strong why, it becomes easier to stay focused and motivated. Write down your reasons and revisit them often. Let them remind you of what's at stake and what's possible. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce your commitment is through daily actions. Every decision you make, no matter how small, is an opportunity to align with your bigger self. Ask yourself throughout the day, what would the best version of me do in this situation? Would they take the easier path, or would they choose growth? These small choices compound over time, shaping your habits, mindset, and outcomes. Resistance is inevitable. There will be times when fear, doubt, or fatigue try to pull you back into old patterns. This is where visualization and commitment work together. When you face resistance, revisit the image of your bigger self. Remind yourself of who you're becoming and why it's worth pushing through the discomfort. Use this vision as your guidepost, a source of inspiration and direction. Another essential element of committing to your bigger self is patience. Growth takes time. The person you're becoming won't emerge overnight, and that's okay. Trust the process and celebrate your progress along the way. Each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your vision. Even setbacks are part of the journey. They provide valuable lessons and opportunities to refine your approach. Surround yourself with people and environments that support your growth. Your commitment to becoming your bigger self is strengthened when you're in the company of those who inspire, challenge, and uplift you. Seek out mentors, friends, and communities that align with your vision. The energy and encouragement of others can amplify your own determination. Finally, realize that visualizing and committing to your bigger self is not just about personal achievement. It's about fulfilling your potential so you can contribute more fully to the world around you. When you grow, you inspire others to do the same. Your success, resilience, and courage become a source of light for those who need it. In the end, the journey to your bigger self is about living with intention. It's about choosing moment by moment to align your thoughts, actions, and beliefs with the person you're capable of becoming. The more you visualize and commit, the more natural it becomes to step into that version of yourself. Over time, what once seemed like a distant aspiration will become your reality, and you'll look back in awe at how far you've come.